The general views as well as my own have fluctuated quite a bit as we approach May 30th. Elden Ring is regarded as one of the absolute greatest games ever made, and rightfully so. So whatever is in possession of its namesake has to be good as well, right? I think From Software is one hell of a game developer, and their roster of games walks the walk. They have gained a considerable amount of trust with the fan base that I understand to the fullest extent. I try my best to see the positives in life, but deep down I can't help but be aware and observant of various possible outcomes. I believe if you feel in your gut something is off, that simply means that something is indeed off. Is this the case for Elden Ring Nightreign? Not necessarily, but the vibes are definitely inconsistent. Since this title has been shown, I went from confusion to excitement to skepticism, back to excitement, and now I feel that the game has become reminiscent of a ticking time bomb. The only factor with this particular bomb is it could be an explosion of greatness and transparency, or it could be, dare I say, only the beginning of a worse outcome than one damaging blow. Everyone knows we have a problem in the gaming industry, a few to be honest. Some studios have opted to push political agendas rather than make an engaging and thought-out story that doesn't aim to preach to you or demonize any one walk of life over another. Other studios have chosen to go all in on creating content which hooks you and then reels you in only to bleed you dry of every penny they can possibly squeeze. Bad stories have existed as long as good stories, but the ever-growing greed of this industry has become more and more prevalent and unapologetic. Characters, skins, weapons, and upgrades are just a few of the things often hidden behind ridiculously overpriced paywalls with the most egregious developers. They try less and less until we're left with a heartless reskin of sequel after sequel, and only the ones willing to pay hundreds and hundreds of dollars will get to feel any sort of gains. All is not lost. Plenty of games still exist that offer a staggering amount of high-quality content with only the intention of pulling you into the game and enjoying it. All in-game unlockables is what makes games truly respectable, and FromSoft has been a masterclass in doing just that for many years now, among others. With all that being said, surely we would never see a turn for the worse with one of the most respected game companies ever, right? Even if they did decide to emulate the formula of these games that usually ask an arm and a leg from you, FromSoft has a chance to really do this right and set a new standard in the industry, exposing yet again what is truly possible without resorting to being excessively greedy. Worst case, I don't think this would necessarily be a full-blown betrayal of trust to the fans, but I do see this as being a sort of testing of the waters, or maybe even a one-off cash-in to fund other endeavors. It is obvious this new Elden Ring has a completely different mission to accomplish with the player. Can they sustain that genuine and artistic value with a brand new direction on a beloved IP? We won't truly know if the game will be good until it's available to play in its entirety. To get a feel for whether this game will be good or not, I'd like to assess what makes the base game and its DLC so remarkable. When you think of Elden Ring, ask yourself what kept you coming back for more. When I think of Elden Ring, I think of exploration, intrigue, engagement, and accomplishment. The Lands Between is arguably the most stunning world ever created in a video game, and this makes exploration so easy to be enthralled with. The depth of this map is impressive to say the least. From the highest heights to the lowest depths and everything in between, you'll be organically pulled from one location to another by the well thought out placement of details that grab your eye. FromSoft are masters of level design and creating intrigue. The driving curiosity of finding that next dungeon, or mini-boss, NPC opening up a new quest line, new enemy types, weapons, armor, spells, and more. At just about any point along the way in your journey, you could pan the camera 360 degrees and have visuals that are hauntingly beautiful. Every view is like a masterpiece of an oil painting just begging to be analyzed to the fullest. In the midst of all this atmosphere and beauty, I can't help but stop every now and then and let the environment devour me in a sense, really drinking in the hard work of this talented team of creators. I find myself not sprinting from point to point, but oftentimes at a leisurely walk or slow gallop. Even well over 300 hours and a platinum trophy, this game never loses its feel. The engaging combat is the perfect complement to the values I have already mentioned, giving you yet another reason to carefully take in your surroundings as you confront tougher and tougher challenges. The variety of weapons, ashes of war, spirit ashes, incantations, and more allow for a vast assortment of build possibilities. Your first playthrough, you may stick with a certain sword set until completion, and that's okay. Elden Ring encourages experiencing the game in different ways by either the option to respec your hard-earned stat points, or by starting a new save with a new archetype. No matter what way you play the game, it will demand persistence and focus, but the end result is a feeling of accomplishment like no other genre of game can offer. Whether you're a Souls veteran or greenhorn, you will feel like an absolute force of nature by the time you complete the game. I spent so many hours after defeating the Elden Beast just patrolling what has now been claimed as my land. Most enemies didn't stand a chance against me anymore, even some mini-bosses I found still in hiding. It's like the perfect slow build of struggle to a power fantasy. Returning to former difficult enemies and deleting them with a single swipe of your sword was such a feeling after all I had been through. When you grow tired of demolishing everything in your path, you have the option for New Game Plus. This brings you back to the start of the game with all of your current stats and equipment, and also scales the enemies up in level. So now you have a new run where you know what you're doing, you have an arsenal to work with, and now all the enemies pose a threat all over again. You'd be amazed running back through the game and realizing how much you have learned and even continue to learn and discover. I think I'm at New Game 4 and I still find new dungeons and quest lines. What more can you ask for from a game? Needless to say that Shadow of the Erdtree showed up and doubled down on everything the base game offers with some of the most challenging but rewarding boss fights in the entire game. It's like they decided to make the landscape even more interesting by making the path forward not quite so obvious. You'd find yourself on winding side paths only to uncover an entire section of the map you couldn't figure out how to reach. They really need to do studies on how they create these iconic levels. It's beyond what some devs could dream to accomplish. So here we are on the brink of a new game under the Elden Ring brand, and it's noted as being its very own unique experience. I have no doubts this game will acquire a large fan base very quickly, but I can't help but wonder, for the people who have already been there and experienced Elden Ring, will this new direction offer something of value, or will it just leave some of us with more to be desired? Exploration is a core gameplay loop in both games, but Nightreign does this drastically different. The speed of combat and movement has been increased, and they have even included a time limit for your given exploration cycle. I couldn't imagine that being rushed through Elden Ring would have felt good. You would have missed out on so much of what the Lands Between has to show you. I'll state again, I understand it's a totally different kind of game, and it's fine for it to exist in the first place. I hope people enjoy the game to its fullest. As for myself, I'm neither sold or repelled. I like roguelikes and lights and Souls games all the same, but maybe this will add a different element of addiction to what already was. Impressions are varied across all the people who have tried the game, which leads to even more possible discussion on the game's standing. Will this be a great way of scouring more of this and parallel worlds of new and satisfying challenges with your friends? Or will I quickly be compelled to pick back up the source material for that slow burn, tried and true gameplay loop? Will they hide content behind greedy paywalls for the first time in the company's history? I'd like to think not, but this is a crazy world and worse has happened. Nonetheless, we won't know until we know, right? Until then, leave a comment with your thoughts on Elden Ring Nightreign. This is a new channel, so the more of you I can meet and chat with about great games, the better for all of us. Between this and that and everything else, I'll be covering it, so hit subscribe to stay up to date, and I'll see you on the next video. Thank you for watching.